Hello, everybody. I'm Don Counts. We're here at the Warrior exhibit in Fayetteville, Tennessee. And today I've got Linda Williams with me. And Linda, tell us who we have today.
Dawn, today we've got Miss Julie Plant Miller, and she served in the Army, and we're so excited to have her share her story with us today.
So tell us about yourself and what got you into the
Okay, so I was in college after high school and decided I needed money first of all for college, and just something to give me some focus, challenge myself, that kind of thing. So went to the recruiter's office, and it was very shiny and organized, and so next thing I knew, I was signed up.
Wow, how many years did you serve?
So I did one tour. I went in 1988 through 1991. So signed up over in Tullahoma, and my job. It turned out apparently I did pretty well on the ASVAB, so they asked me to do military intelligence. So that's what I did, and shipped me off to Fort Dix, New Jersey, in January and February, which was wonderful. It was a lot of being in the cold. Um, from there, I went to Fort Devens in Massachusetts to MI school for. I was a Morse Code interceptor, and this school, of course, Fort Devens is no longer. I'm not even sure they use it anymore. I'm not 100% sure, but at the time, the school, which I'm not even sure my MOS even exists anymore, but at the time, the school was a 86% washout rate, so no pressure.
Oh,
So
wow.
you stayed really nervous. You learn Morse code, which is, most people know, it's like learning a second language, basically. So you learn at differing speeds. You start very slow until it's really, really fast. And if you if you put on the headphones at the end speed, it sounds, to someone that's not used to it, it sounds like one long beat because it's so fast. So I graduated. Hallelujah.
You
um,
still know Morse code?
I do. I do. It would have to be really slow at this point because we didn't copy it by hand. We copied it on a computer. So from there, went to Hawaii. It's a terrible assignment. I know. Terrible. People aren't going to feel real sorry for me. Um, I was stationed at Schofield Barracks, which is, there's interesting stories about that, and y'all may have heard. But where our barracks were at the main gate, were the only newer barracks on the base because during World War II, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, they were actually trying to attack Wheeler Air Force Base, which is right across the road. So our barracks there were bombed. So we actually had newer barracks. They weren't brand new, but they were newer than like the infantry barracks on in. And so where I actually worked was called Field Station Kinea, otherwise known as the tunnel, and it was an actual tunnel. It was bomber, a bomber like plant where they made bombers or whatever for World War II. Undergrounds, underneath the pineapple field, 6 stories down. When you went in, it was a huge, kind of steel door like thing that stayed open. It was curved, and you had to walk in down through the tunnel, and it was curved so kamikaze planes couldn't fly in it or they couldn't bomb there. So it was strategic how you did there. So it was really cool because you could see things on the floor and stuff where they would motor things in and out. And you would have to walk to the gate and swipe your badge to get in. It was cool because you knew that people from World War II had walked up and down that hallway, so that's kind of neat. Um, so copy code. There we worked 6-day rotating shifts, which meant I did 6 days of a day shift, 6 days of a mid shift, 6 days of a overnight shift, and then you reset every time. So you never had enough sleep. We were always kind of zombified, and
When you say copy code, can you
mm-hmm.
describe that a little bit?
Sure. So the language of Morse code. So interestingly enough, like when we copy it was cool because back in the 90s, we were able to, one of the few that were able to kind of covertly engage with the enemy, meaning that most people never got to do that back then. But because we were copying live code from one of our enemies, which now you can talk about it, we were copying the Chinese. So, they can't send in Chinese. So they send Morse code. It's international and it's based off our alphabet. So they're groups of letters in 5-letter groups. And so in those 5-letter groups, sometimes they're 5, sometimes they're 3, sometimes they're 2, sometimes they're 1. And each group or group of letters means something. So it can mean a phrase or a word. So it could mean, like, if you're asking a question, where are you? Where are you located? Who are you? That kind of thing. And then it would end with a certain phrase too. So you would know that was the end of the sentence and you would go to the next sentence. So, I copied where I copied a certain area. Other groups, they copied a certain area. So most of the time, what we heard, was just things that were passing through, because shipping, ships used it, that kind of thing too. So we copied a lot of things that didn't mean anything. So it was rare. We had analysts with us there. But before I arrived, the unit that I was in, they actually got a presidential citation because they copied the Tiananmen Square event. And it happened right before not right before I came, a little bit before I came, which is neat because they figured it out of what it was because they kept copying the same number over and over and over, and that's unusual. So they have analysts looking at it, and the number was actually the number on the tank that the student stood in front of, and so they were sending that over and over and over. So they got a big award for that. So pretty cool. But I didn't get it. I wasn't there. But kind of neat that our unit got that. So
Okay. Can you kind of tell us something about being in the service as a woman?
Sure. there's always less, of course. Still are. Certainly when I went in, late 80s, early 90s, there were not many, and I didn't serve with many. Actually, when I went to school and where I worked with all services. So it wasn't just the Army, the Air Force and the Navy and the Marines were there. And we all worked together. So still very few women. It lasted for about 5 seconds when I got there. My first sergeant was like, okay, there's a female. I was the only one in our little part there. And he's like, okay, well, there's a female coming, so everybody act nice and be nice and, don't say anything crude or what. And that lasted for about 5 minutes, so they got over it quick. I was fine. So, but they really didn't, it didn't matter. We were all a group. When I went through basic, it was just women, not like it is now. So if we even looked towards where the male companies were, that was death sentence. So,
How hard was basic?
At the time, I don't know how it is now. I think it's a little bit different now. At the time, I think the standards were the same, male or female. There's nothing fun about it. That's for sure. I was scared to death because I had zero idea. Nobody told me anything. I knew nothing. My dad was in the Army, but he told me I should have joined the Air Force. I told him I'd join the Army. He was like, oh, I thought, oh no. But it was hard. It was very physical. It was very cold. I still do not like the cold, but it's not my thing. I stayed in trouble. I don't know how. I tried so hard for them not to even know who I was. I thought, I don't even want them to know my name because that's the best. I can just get through this and nobody even know who I am. But I'm tall and I had a Southern accent, so they love that. And they were always making me talk. But my first sergeant there, we weren't there 2 days, probably 3 days, I don't know. but it's when they get you to help pass out everybody's stuff that you get. So you get, your bag, and you have all your canteen and all the stuff. So we're in the humongous warehouse, and scared to death, scared to death, scared to death. No one, I'm however far from home, and I'm passing out the canteen cups that go, up the canteen fits down in. And so my only job was to hand out one to every person that went by, and don't talk, don't anything, just hand it over. And so I think I'm doing just fine. And from across the warehouse, and this is about a, half a Walmart size warehouse, I guess, I hear stop at the top of our lungs. And so the first sergeant is standing on the tables and jumps from that table, until he gets to my table. And I can see him coming. I'm thinking, please don't come to my table. Please don't be me. It was me. So he jumps and he just blasts me because two were stuck together and I had given somebody two. And I thought, I've been here 48 hours, Oh, so that's how it started. And then on in, we went to, I can't even think what I'm trying to say, bivouac, where we're out and we have to camp. And my ranger buddy and I, we had to set up our tents. It was pouring rain, freezing cold, and the night. And the one thing, you had to keep up with your weapon. Always, always, always. You cannot ever, not have it on your person. So I slipped in my sleeping bag, and I had the strap wrapped around my leg of my weapon, and it was beside me, and I was zipped up in my sleeping bag and inside my tent. And when I woke up in the morning, it was gone. And I just thought, please, Jesus, take me now. Because I thought, how in the world? Because it was zipped up. And so my first sergeant had it. So I had to go to formation with no weapon, thinking, this is it. So I got in horrible trouble. So I stayed in trouble. I don't know. I tried really hard not to, but I stayed in trouble. But anyway, it was fun. I made it. All was well.
Where was this?
In New Jersey. So
very
sandy, very piney. It was awful. It's, people have experienced worse, but it was not fun.
Now, did you finish your education in the service?
Part of it, yes, and then but most of it after. So I got GI Bill and all that. So that was fabulous. That very much helped me.
If you had it to do over, would you go back in the service?
Absolutely, absolutely, no question. Changed my life for the better. It's makes you realize you can do things you never thought you could do. So, and I was very young and very insecure and all the things, and thought there's no way, but I made it. And so it's cool because I've had somebody in my family has served in every conflict since the Revolutionary War. So every generation has somebody that served in every conflict, which I never served in conflict, but I had people in my cousins and stuff that did. So it's kind of neat, So we've had somebody in my family serve every time. And I have a cousin that's done all the genealogy and names and all that kind of stuff. So I couldn't name them. I couldn't name all of them. But I mean, my uncles and stuff, yes, my dad, who served during Korea, and his brother served in Korea, and I had two other uncles serve in World War II. My grandfather was in World War One. He was a pipe fitter on the USS Dixie, so still have all his stuff and medals and whatnot. So pretty neat.
When you was growing up here, did you ever think that when you was a kid you would get in the military?
No, I knew nothing about it. I mean, I had family members that were in it, and I knew my dad was, but he never talked about it. So I never, no, no, because I knew nothing. I knew. So I hear people that go in now, and they're like, well, I had a plan, and I did all this. I was like, no, I just signed, swore in, and
that'd be a big deal for you to go.
It was a huge deal. I was terrified. Yes, I was terrified. I mean, there's no lie about that. I was scared to death, and I thought after, when you get there, what have I done? It's not like you can leave. And I changed my mind. Sorry.
What convinced you to do it?
Just needing, well, college money, and then just needing, I don't know, I felt like I just needed something to um, make me mature, I guess. And
And the service will do that.
yeah, quick, quick. And I think something really stable and something I couldn't quit. I think that's a good thing too. It's not that I was brilliant at that age. I think that's a lot of the Lord intervention there, and I think it's probably my mom and my grandmother praying for me. Please, Lord, do something, send her to the army, whatever. But um, I wish I'd have been that smart to know how much it would have meant to me, how much it would mean to me, and how much it would change my life. I wish I'd have known and been that smart. So I'm not that smart. I was just lucky. So I don't know. And then I met Steve, my husband. We met in Hawaii because he did the same job I did, but in a different squad. So he worked down the computer line from me, so he copied a different area. And anyway, 32 years.
Wow.
32 years. He's had a much more exciting military career than I. Mine, this is about it for me. But
Now, where else were you stationed?
that was
besides
it.
after Hawaii?
That was it.
You were out
Yes.
after that.
That was it. And I had considered staying. My dad was very sick. My parents owned a business here, and my dad was really sick. So um, I'm the youngest in the family. All my siblings were either married or gone off. So just me. So I came home and helped with them. So with my parents' business and stuff. So I didn't re up. I didn't do anything, which and that's okay. No regrets.
We appreciate your service.
Thank you. Um,
Would you recommend young girls to go in the service today?
for sure. For the right reasons. For sure. I think it's something. It's a very cool club to be in. It's a very you. I don't know how to describe it. When you go somewhere and they recognize veterans or they talk about veterans or whatever. It's not that you feel like you're better or special or anything like that. It's a very humbling thing. I'm looking at the walls here, and these people have done great things, and just you're a part of something that is bigger than yourself. I don't know how else to explain it, and it's really cool. Like I look up here, and these are the people that made it possible for me to sit here and for y'all to sit here, and very grateful. I would say that. You ask if there's one more thing, it would probably be just my gratitude to those who have served before me. I don't want to cry. I can't talk about being a veteran or any of that stuff without crying, so I'm trying real hard. But I'm just really, really, really glad I did it, and I would recommend it to anybody because there's no downside. There is no downside. I mean, you're going to get more out of it, even more than you put into it, probably.
I think you're right. And we certainly appreciate you coming and sharing your
Thank y'all.
experiences with us. And we also need your picture in this experience.
I will make it happen, I promise. And I don't have very many, which it makes me crazy. I look and I think, oh, I wish I had more, but I just didn't. Apparently, I was busy and I didn't take a lot, but I'll get you one. All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.